Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Green Room, Pratidhwani's series of conversations with our creative community. And today, joining me in the Green Room is our very own Shahana Dattagupta. Hello, Shahana. Welcome.
Thank you, Agastya, and thank you to you, Pratidhwani, and the Green Room for having me.
Of course, our pleasure. So, folks, for those of you who are watching, I just want to acknowledge real quick that Shana and I seem to have a little bit of a lag in our connection. So, if it seems like why are we taking so long to answer each other's questions, or why are we interrupting each other so much? It may be a function of lag, but such are the days of Zoom conferences and calls, and I think we've all gotten used to some level of these types of problems. So. We will cope as well as we can today as well. So Shana, thank you for joining me. So just as you know, in terms of setting the baseline from where we started our conversation, I was just thinking back. You and I have collaborated on various artistic endeavors for a number of years now. Starting, I think, with Ekta Gadha back in, I think that was 2009. When I was directing this play, and you were a part of the cast. And so starting from there, onwards. But I just want to invite you to give everyone a little bit of a background of how that came to be, because at the time I believe you were still an architect, right? Like professionally.
Actually, no, I had jumped off in 2008.
Okay. So walk people through. So you're trained as an architect, and you had a day job, and you did that, and then all of a sudden, or I guess maybe not all of a sudden, you decided that you had had enough of that, and arts was where you wanted to spend the rest of your time. So talk to us about that.
Yeah, and I think if I trace back all the way to my childhood, my inclinations for anything that we call art and anything that we call science were so evened out that architecture seemed to be where it'll all come together.
Fair enough.
But and I enjoyed it all the way till grad school, and I enjoyed my almost decade-long career in the largest design firm of the world, right here in Seattle. Seattle seems to host so many largests and bests.
Yeah.
So I was in one of those, and but I think if I look back, the moment I sat in a cubicle, I felt like my life force energy drained, and I can tell you that as soon as I sat in that cubicle in the chair, I had this knowing this isn't going to last. But like most of us who conditioned in the format of security and certainty, and I gave it a try, but I think I had a knowing all along. And then really 16 years ago, 2004, is when everything shattered for me at so many levels: personal, professional, spiritual. And so something happened that can't even be called a happening. I didn't even know it happened really concretely. And my personal life broke apart. A lot of things broke apart. And I think it was just a matter of another 4 years lag, just like you and I having a lag to 2008, which if I look at it, it's in the 16 years, every leap year seems to have been something, and this leap year is where we are today in the corona times. About 2012 is when I actually stopped appearing in the public eye as much, because I needed to even more break down everything that we think we know and understand. So that's kind of the arc. So yes, architecture, classical music for me started really in the womb. I'm named after a raga because apparently I used to move to music, and I was started in Carnatic music actually at age 3. But unlike many musicians, I seem to I sang with abandon, and then if it became a mission of any kind, if it became performative, if it became structured, my music would just go away, and I would withdraw from it. So I've gone through many phases of that as well. And painting, I've done spontaneously also all my life. I don't remember any time I haven't painted. Making things, cooking, like it's just and math keeps running, math patterns, algorithms of all sorts, metaphysics of all kinds, quantum physics, all of this keeps has been part of my life all along, of my consciousness. So I think that's an arc. The writing, initially, I actually started writing my first short stories in the architecture cubicle at work as relief. I didn't think I'd ever publish anything. I just found that if I just had lunch and took 10 minutes where everyone went to get stinky coffee, I got a short story coming, like oozing out of me, and I had to kind of write it. And my writing has been the most channeled. I don't analyze, or it just, I'm like pregnant with writing. So if I don't put it out, I'd probably burst. So I just write. It's not coming from something that I'm thinking about. I'll often have titles of entire poems or entire stanzas come within 5 minutes. I just have to record it. That didn't happen for me with music. I never thought it would happen until 2016 when I started composing all sorts of things. So that's sort of a rough arc. Going back to what you asked me about Ekta Gadha, I think what was interesting was I was from the 2004 to 8 period, I was in the shattering phase. It was a phase full of grief. And I could barely make it to anything desi or anything that people would ask me what's going on, or kya chal raha hai. And I never had an answer for or kya chal raha hai, because I said, I think agar bata dun kya chal raha hai, to you may not stand here for long. But at that time I came to your first production that you were directing of your father's
2005 was Hatyare, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was really touched by the production and hearing Hindi, feeling connected in a way that, the small talk doesn't interest me, but the depth, the interest in curating something small and deep and serious, committed, was something I loved. I've always wanted to act. That's been the one thing I haven't done enough, though I've done a whole lot of it in my childhood. And it's one of those dreams where I used to think, I'll be on the screen someday, when I was little. but I liked that, and so when you put out the Ekta Gada thing, I think you originally contacted me for the singing portion because it was a musical, and our friends Mausam and Gaurav composed the music, and they were my friends from the music world, and I accepted because of that. But actually, secretly, all I wanted to do was act, even though the singing was interesting. So I was glad for that role, and I was glad for some things I observed in your directorial efforts, at your house. One of the favorite things I remember from that time is you would say, only one director.
Yeah, that's right.
Apart from the motive, each actor figuring out how the character would unravel for them, and that's like maybe an individual. But in terms of connecting, only connecting with you, keeping you at the center of that collaboration for how that should unfold. And I've actually said only one director in other situations when I just want to call chaos into.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you're bringing that up, because those were the early years, right? So Pratadhwani, we did our first play in 2005, and this is 2009 that we're talking about, and so there was so much enthusiasm clearly in the community, not only just to watch theater, and especially at the time it was mostly Hindi theater that we were doing, but also participate in it, right? However, all of our passion was coming into the room, and everybody wanted to tell everybody else what to do with their character and with their scenes, and I was trying to sort of that's where only one director came from, because yes, please work on your character, and yes, we are in a collaborative medium in theater, but at the same time, we don't want every cast member literally trying to tell every other cast member what to do or not to do, and so keeping that communication channel sort of streamlined was something that we all learned together, I think, in the early days. And I will, for the record, say, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I mean, for only one director for me didn't seem like a lack of collaboration. It was quite the other way around. It was like channeling it in the right. It's freeing up the energies to passion is not, for passion to become compassion, you have to have to you have to kind of be aware of everything, but you should also know where your energies go. Right. And finding that touch point, I think that's what it meant. I took it to mean that, and I appreciated that clarity. So anyway, you were saying, for the record.
I was saying, for the record, that that while I was very interested in having you as a part of the cast because of your musical abilities and because I knew I would need singers, that was not the reason you were cast in a play, right? I mean, we went through the audition process, and you got yourself a seat on that or at that table for your acting abilities at the time, and then I was like, mental note, she can sing. And so we obviously took advantage of that skill of yours as well. So we touched on acting, singing, writing, painting. So these are things that, I mean, people who know you know that your art manifests itself, or your expression manifests itself in multiple ways. So at this point, what is the situation? Is it a fair statement? Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, I wanted to say that one of the things that maybe is not, maybe it's known and maybe it's not known. One of the things that happened because of when I did several years of but guiding and then directing Yoni Ki Baat in the area as well, 5 years of involvement in that at least. I noticed sort of a healing power, like something that's not palpable, not something that's intangible, and it was connected to creativity actually, because our sexual energy, our creative energy, our breath, our prana, whatever we used to sing, that it's all ek saal, you know, it's only one shakti, the manifesting energy. And clear ourselves of past stuff. I observed how you can, how what comes out of you is no longer just the personal and political, but something more universal. Texts and things that have stood the sanatan. What is eternal? What can't be? What applies in all time? You know, that kind of work starts to come out of human beings, and so I became very interested in that 2009 to 11 period. And as I went back in, one role that I don't really talk about much or advertise because it happens organically is that I guide a lot of that. I guide, calling it spiritual guidance is getting into the more mass cliche, but you know, you could say it's spiritual, creative, life guidance. It all falls into place where your energy towards your finances, your energy toward your partnership in your personal life, your expressions in any creative form. And for me, if you're practicing medicine, it's still creativity. If you're doing engineering, it's still creativity, because that one side is covering. So I've played a role of guide, and oftentimes in many phases of these 4-year chunks, that has taken precedence even over anything what you'd call as personal art or personal expression. So
interesting. So I actually want to, this is a good segue, if I may. I want to get into, you know, as you left architecture and the safety and security of a day job and a financial safety net that comes with that, I personally am familiar with your music teaching career, right? I mean, you do have a number of students in the community who are learning from you. What else are you engaged in? And I'm sort of, you know, without getting into your personal finances, because that's not the point, but the business of art or making living as an artist, I am interested in that. So talk to us a little bit more about what are the challenges of making a living 100% on artistic endeavors at this point, right?
Yeah, it's you know, if I say it's challenging, it would appear that I struggled. The internal struggle with everything has disappeared. It just isn't there. So, but on paper, you know, I've lived poor, and many times. There were 2 years I was on unemployment after that first phase, and some years I've made anywhere between $12,000 and $13,000 a year. So there's two ways to be rich. One is to have a lot of money, and the other is have very few needs. So some of the things that happened with me anyway organically is that what has been enough, and I've just, meaning furniture or clothing. I mean, I have stuff for you to keep well. So it's not really about having a lack of how I can live, and then it's about the mortgage and my two kids and being able to pay my bills. What I have done is just not thought about it. I just don't think about it, and that's fun. You just don't think about it. And the sense of there's a clarity about uncertainty being the only certainty, and so when that's embraced, and I don't think about it, channels open up. I've done everything from do the little spot acting things that you use to forward, for various little videos and things like that. Otherwise, right now, and my art people have adopted my art. Formally, right now, the music teaching and the life guidance work is pretty much what I do. There was a brief period where I still consulted, and maybe that's why you're thinking I was still doing some design work or architecture work in 2009. I consulted until about 2013 or 14, off and on. So there I'd get a little chunk of something. My music work is entirely on Dakshina, so it's not a fixed rate. Everybody gives me I always say, at the edge of your comfort zone. What they wish to and what they can. From there, they give me a monthly amount, and it varies all over the map. And I have worked like that since 2008. 2008, and my guidance work is, it's got a fixed price for 90 minutes of work with me. But yeah, I've surfed the ups and downs. I've pulled out from an old 401k that anyway hardly had anything when the market went up. I've done all sorts of things. Sometimes people have been generous where they've given me something momentous happened in their life, and they felt like they want to thank me for the work, which is beyond paying me or something. That's happened. I would say modern day bhikkhu, in the sense of allowing the moment to be enough. Just knowing that I'm taken care of. And I know that's an abstract answer, but that's really been it. And it's 12 years now in that way. So
it doesn't sound very abstract to me, honestly. It actually is a pretty detailed variety of different things that come your way, I suppose. And one of the things that this conversation is reminding me of, and on and off I've seen some of these posts that you make on Facebook as well, I guess it's a part of the writing, is taking seemingly opposite sounding concepts and writing about how they are really the same, or how one is the other. And I'm curious, is there a series that you're working on? Is it like where's the fountain? What are all these thoughts about? Where are they coming from, and why do you share them?
It's great you're asking me. So the book writing phase, I wrote one book a year. I published one book a year. I didn't even wait for publishers because I didn't care about that. I wanted to design the book. I wanted to lay out every word. I wanted to draw in them. So they're overall productions. I've got sketches in them. I've got some Chickadee and the Cat that's written as a children's book. I've actually written by hand every page during. I'd go into meditation periods where I wouldn't see anybody, and then these things would come out. So they're written with from that kind of place, a lot of them. The poetry book is got sketches. Thrive has drawings. So everything has something like that. And then I stopped wanting to even put something within the pages of a book. That felt done as well. And what's now flowing since 2015 is something even more like something I just have no personal control over. It's there is not any other impetus than I will wake up sometimes at between 3 and 4 in the morning and have a pulse on the consciousness of what human beings are troubled with or pushing against or resisting or assisting, or and I feel a calling to just put something there that is looks at the paradox of it. I think you're talking about the paradoxes that I
Yeah.
often write from. And the mind wants to settle on one way or the other. The mind is wants objective um, objectivity, like an object, a thought, a perception, a certainty, and that is the bane of our of our suffering. And so you could say it's coming from uh, alleviating that suffering, a kind of a Buddha calling. It's also, you could also say it's a Krishna calling, like yada yada hi dharmasya, where dharma is not righteousness but order. What is the order of the moment? So I write for that, not for anybody to correct or teach, really, because all of this is known within, and I'm just drawing from there and sharing it. And if there's resonance, that's great. Otherwise, it's if it's garbage to somebody, that's okay too. So
Hey,
there's no
that's social
purpose.
media.
Yeah, well, there's no purpose. That when you say that social media, that makes me laugh, because these days, after that Social Dilemma film, and people talk about, oh, the government is tracing you and everybody's tracing you, and I always say, well, nobody understands anything I say, so I
Trace
don't know if
away.
they can sell me anything or trace
Yeah.
away.
Excellent. So, all right, let's look forward. Yeah. So coronavirus happened,
Yeah.
and some of us, for example, me, have a day job, and I'm able to keep doing it from home. So that's what my life has become, and it's taken away the commute. It sort of locked me in my little office room, and 8-ish to 5-ish. This is where I'm at, right? Um, that was, the commute and going to office. You left that lifestyle behind a number of years ago. So what does it mean for you and your students and your collaborators right now? What are you able to do? Has it changed at all? Are there any um, accommodations you've had to make? What's life like right now?
Mainly, the accommodation I've had to make is that I didn't used to do any online teaching. I refused Skype or on, which is crazy, because a lot of musicians
Oh my God. Yeah.
make their living because people contact them from all over the world and
Mhm.
learn with them, and I would turn it down. I only wanted to do in-person work, um, and small work. I wasn't looking to scale, or so. It's been interesting for me. It's been the other way around. Because I opened up online uh, um, abilities for my existing students, um, then people have contacted me. Now you're doing online. Now will you agree? Um, so yeah, but it's not like it's huge increase or anything. So I've had to learn to use Zoom. I still don't have a Zoom account. And for all purposes, I'm a Luddite, even though I have all the gadgets. Like, I have an iPad, but all I do is to run the Tanpur on it and maybe
Nice.
watch, a YouTube video with Ramana Maharshi talking, and that's it. But I'm learning to work with this interface for music, and I see that it's pretty effective. So maybe after this phase is over, I will accept more of the online interactions. And other than that, my guidance work has been available online, so that hasn't changed. I've been spending so much time alone for so many years. That hasn't changed. Um, Walking with a mask, I find it difficult. Like taking my evening walks with a mask, I have breathing challenges when I do that, so I find that difficult, but I'm learning to do it. um, I never ordered any online grocery or did any online shopping. That has changed. I'm getting some things online. I would walk every 3 days to get only enough groceries that I can carry. So that
Right.
was my principle, that I will go to Pike Place Market or one of the Whole Foods in South Lake Union and get my groceries. So that has changed. But other than that, no, no.
Good. So it's curious. This question is going to sound trivial, but of the changes
No.
that have happened, be it in online teaching or be it in online grocery, what do you think will stick?
Yeah.
Like once the world opens back up and we're actually able to easily meet face to face, and then we have to be less worried about coronavirus, do you think any of these changes will stick for you, or is this all purely for this time, for this phase?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe the like I said, the online access for music guidance might change. That might change. But I don't know. I don't. I really don't know.
It's very interesting, right? We were some friends of ours recently got married, and they had a very small wedding in a park with like 5 people and 50 people on Zoom who got to watch online. And we were just sitting there thinking, we understand why their wedding was on Zoom and why all these guests were joining remotely. But what is becoming more and more clear is that I think all weddings going forward will have a live streaming component to it, especially for those of us who have families all over the world who can't necessarily travel. And why didn't we ever do that before? Like it seems like an opportunity that had always existed, but for whatever reason we insisted that we must gather in one place.
Yeah. And in the reverse direction, maybe the reason I'm saying, nothing so new or nothing might stick is that the whole sustainability of living, keeping things small, reusing, using technology where waste is not necessary, so much stuff, so many people, so much infrastructure to gather 500 people for an event. That's been something I've been doing naturally for so long. So I'm happy to see it happen en masse. And I think also this is a time for the collective to go inward. That's been forced upon us. Something that has been, I wanted to touch upon that how the creative cycle, how we allow soil to rest before we seed in and go again. And I sense that that can happen at what we call a personal level, and it can happen at the collective level, and then it can happen, en masse. And this is one of those meta cycles. So I mean, I'm saying something that's obvious to many, but I'm just restating that. So I think I'll be happy if some things that shrink our material usage and our material emphasis stick with all of us.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah. And at the same time, in this time when people can't gather and communication seems difficult, it has actually become more prevalent for families across the world to gather on weekly Zoom meetings. I have a cousin in Phoenix who now I will semi-regularly FaceTime with, which I could have always been doing, but we didn't before. And so it's an interesting time where things seem so constrained and constricted, but at the same time, we're actually reaching out even more than normal.
Reaching out where we thought that, we're in touch, a message here, a message there, but now you're really getting in touch. Yeah.
Like wonderful. The green room, because Pratidhwani can't be in physical space with our friends and patrons and collaborators at the same time. We got to do this, and it becomes an opportunity all of a sudden out of crisis. Well, wonderful. Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time and chatting with me today. And I do see some comments coming in as well, including from Shruti Dikshit, also an SPA alum and a fellow collaborator of ours on Ekta Gada. But I just wanted to just ask as a closing remark, Shahana, anything you want to share with the world watching in terms of how to reach you for music or guidance or just pearls of wisdom for those of us listening?
Well, since this is through Facebook Live, people obviously will find my profile, and my website is prathamanad.com. So right now, where all my work is listed. So that's another option. Prathamanad sounds the first sound, the first sound of creation.
There you go.
The original sound. And I also wanted to, on a personal note with you and me, wanted to say that the even though the urge to write a full length play ebbs and flows, it's not left me. So who knows? Who knows
Well,
when
we'll keep
if that
stroking that.
happens.
We got to get that done.
Yeah, yeah,
Excellent.
yeah.
All right, wonderful. Thank you very much, and we'll wrap it up. Thank you all for
Thank
joining
you.
us for the green room, and